TranZit is one of the worst zombie maps that has ever been made. Please don't click off this video yet, I have more to say. It's a map that had so much potential when it came out, but it was a victim of its era. And by that I mean it was too ambitious. The technology didn't exist to make it the map that it could have been. But with all the rumors of the official TranZit remake that we've been hearing about for years finally being released with Black Ops 7 coming later this year, I wanted to quickly talk about TranZit, why it was so bad, and what potentially they could do to improve it exponentially. So the first thing I wanted to talk about is something that I briefly mentioned in the intro there, and that is how it was too ambitious for its technology. TranZit suffers from extreme texture pop-in, and that literally is there to prevent the game from actually crashing from too many textures and models, etc., being loaded in all at once. The way that the devs did this is they allowed only textures and models to be loaded in within a certain range. However, that made the game look really ugly. So how did they fix this issue? By covering the map in an extremely dense fog, something that we're going to touch a little bit more on later on in this video. So from the information that I can gather, the entire map has 5 loading zones. So as the player goes through different areas, different models and textures are loaded into the game, I guess. I'm not a dev. And so all of this transitions from going from loading zone to loading zone is masked by this dense fog, as well as the denizen creatures that are in the fog that slow down the player, preventing them from going into the next loading zone too quickly. Again, this is very base level knowledge. I'm not a developer, but it's very basics. I understand the basics. And at the time, it seemed like most people weren't too bothered by this. It added really nice atmosphere. Most people were taking the bus from area to area anyway, and so the fog wasn't that much of an issue, but it shows root cause for many players later to complain about. And that brings up the next thing I wanted to talk about, and that is how painful traversal is across the map. So we have this bus, but it's on an uncontrollable timer. The bus seems to kind of go whenever it wants, and there are certain things that you can do, such as attacking the bus driver and stuff like this, but that can also be root cause for the bus driver to just shut down, and then you have no device for traveling across the map at all. So what do we do then? We walk. However, we have to walk through this dense fog that has denizens and lava in it, which requires players to do what we call lava hopscotch, trying to get to the next area. And the problem with all of this is that it turns this theoretical open world zombie map into a slow slog of a map. And so your only option left is to babysit the bus, which completely ruins solo flow. Another extreme annoyance that I have with this map is the constant damage that the player is taking from lava cracks everywhere and exploding fire zombies. And there is no counter to this until the player can get stamina up as one of their perks, as well as Galvanuckles. But the problem there is Galvanuckles is 6,000 points and requires you to use that roof brigade ladder thingy to install into the roof to get up top to even access the Galvanuckles. If the player were instead to install that in the top of the bus, you would never be able to get it, and so exploding fire zombies is just something that the player would have to deal with for the rest of the match. As far as using stamina up to reduce the damage or completely negate the damage from the lava cracks everywhere, sure, I mean, you definitely can do that. It's still a bit of an annoyance, but regardless. It just piles frustration on top of travel delays, which are things that players absolutely do not want in their map. Buildables are also a huge bottleneck for the fun that players should be having on the map. The turbine is required to access almost all secret locations. It does have some cool functions, like being able to grab a perk before the power is turned on, so you don't have to backtrack. But then you also have to use it to unlock the secret Pack-a-Punch location, which is one of the biggest mistakes that developers have ever made across zombies history. I don't care how much you love TranZit, everyone agrees that Pack-a-Punch access is BS. And then you have the jet gun, which is requiring you to hunt all these parts across all 5 different zones, and then you go through all this trouble to build it, and it overheats and shatters. And I know people will say that you just don't know how to use the jet gun properly. Yeah, you're right, I don't. It's Call of Duty Zombies. You should just be able to Anyway, now Buildables had a huge quality of life improvement when Mob of the Dead came out during that same game's life cycle, allowing players to pick up all of the buildable parts in one go and build it all again in one go. But TranZit required the player to pick up each individual part, go to a buildable table, install the part, go back, get another part, bring it to the buildable table. And sure, there are little cheats that you can do, such as spamming the X or square button to bring the parts with you, but you can really only do that with 2 at a time, and you shouldn't have to do that. And so Mob of the Dead did improve that. However, that system still exists on TranZit. They didn't go back and patch in that new system to the original map. And then you have the Avogadro, which truly feels like an unfinished mini-boss. It spawns only after you turn on the power, and it's immune to bullets until you get the EMP. I believe you can also use the Galvanuckles to get rid of it, but the other problem is, it just comes back after a few rounds, even once you've gotten rid of it. And what purpose does it serve? Absolutely nothing. It's a part of the Easter egg quest that nobody ever does because it gives the players no rewards except for permaperks, which depending on the player and player style could be huge rewards, but regardless, it just still feels like an unfinished boss. And then you have the Easter egg and nav card confusion overall. Major Easter eggs require 4 players. Every player needs turbines. I believe every player needs EMPs, which are completely RNG box-based, and require players to go, quote, off map and into the cornfield. And all of this for what reward? Lights on the bus. As for the nav cards, they only work if you complete the Easter eggs in Die Rise and Buried, and then you get your reward. There is 0 payoff in TranZit itself. It's early proof that big picture narratives that they were trying for Black Ops 2 Zombies across maps does not necessarily equal a satisfying map quest. And then as far as solo goes, there is huge pacing issues on the map. There is enormous downtime between hordes while traveling across the map, usually on foot because the bus is just so unreliable. And if you go down, then retrieving the turbine and jet gun parts is literally a marathon. It makes TranZit one of the least replayable solo maps in Zombies history. And then there's the atmosphere letdowns. It's the same brown and blue palette with low visibility and little musical variation outside of voiceover clips. There are sparse points of interest and it feels empty between all of the stops. It completely undercuts Black Ops 2's usually punchy visual and audio style that can be found in the campaign and multiplayer. All of this is to say, in my humble opinion, TranZit is a bad Zombies map. It just is. That being said, this map had so much potential, and custom modders on Steam for the PC version of Black Ops 3 have found ways to make TranZit interesting. And again, with the rumors that the TranZit remake we've been hearing about for the last 8 years is officially releasing with Black Ops 7, perhaps TranZit, with their tens of millions, hundreds of millions of dollars, could fix it. The biggest thing that they need to do to make this map better is to completely ditch the fog, but keep the scale. Now, this game came out 13, almost 14 years ago, so technology has advanced a lot since this map came out. I mean, even going from the PlayStation 3 or Xbox 360 up to the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One was an enormous upgrade that could have fixed TranZit. And then we have an additional generation of technology on top of that. And so modern streaming of textures means that we can have a full draw distance. And because developers, no matter what, still have to mask loads, perhaps we can use like a dynamic weather system for the atmosphere instead of masking over everything with fog. A huge quality of life improvement would be a player-controlled method of transport. This would mean that it could function similarly to the tram on Shadows of Evil, allowing the player to get on the bus and tell the bus which point of interest they want to go to. We may also be able to see an extension of the map with the long-rumored bus route B finally realized. Maybe we'll be able to drive and reroute the vehicle itself. And because it's likely that not everybody will want to use the bus, I think adding on-foot fast travel zip lines or portals would be a brilliant idea. Because of this new new Dark Ether storyline that they're going with, the portals would make sense lore-wise, but I think ziplines would probably be a better method of travel. Or rather, I think players would feel that it would be a bit more fun using a zipline or building a zipline just like on Call of the Dead, instead of just walking through a portal and transporting to the next POI. Regardless, we have to get a 2.0 version of the jet gun. Well, we did kind of see this in a map like D Machine. It's not truly the jet gun, it's just their interpretation of what the jet gun could be. We want to see a fully realized functioning jet gun 2.0 with streamlined buildables, meaning that with the new maps and the new core systems post Mob of the Dead, we'd be able to pick up all the items in one go and build it in one interaction. We want to craft the jet gun once and upgrade like other wonder weapons, using a tier system or what have you. We also need a hazard rebalancing, because the amount of lava that's around the map in the original TranZit is just too much. Reduce the amount of lava in places like town and at the bus depot, and have the big piles of lava in optional high reward areas such as extra salvage rooms. Maybe fire zombies could spawn from player actions as opposed to everywhere else, and this could mean like shooting a gas pump and the gas pump explodes, lights the zombie on fire, and that's your repercussion of shooting it and lighting the zombie on fire, is now you have this fire exploding zombie, if that makes any sense. We also want to see clear, rewarding quest design. Now, this is something that modern zombie maps still struggle with, is finding a reason for players to continually redo the Easter egg quest, but we would like to see a single map Easter egg with narrative beats plus an optional cross-map nav card system for story heads. People who are willing to go through and complete all of the maps within a narrative storyline and get the grander reward. But we still want to have the story contained within a single map and have those rewards by being contained in a single map. Like mentioned earlier, the rewards for TranZit do not exist unless you complete the other two maps, and all three maps require 4 players. We could have some modern quality of life overlays, much like we do in the newer Call of Duty games. So we could have like a ping system, we could have the minimap in the top corner, but maybe it'll be of the bus route instead of the map itself. We need modern stuff like the part checklist UI that has been in every zombie map since Mob of the Dead. And overall, we just want to see a visual and audio glow up for the map. We want to see the neon diner lights at night and see the modern technology of ray tracing and all of this awesome stuff to make the lights really pop. We want to see the shadows running through the cornfield, and maybe if they do decide to go with dynamic weather, lightning strikes in the cornfield that light up fires, and maybe that's also how you could get fire exploding zombies. It'd be cool if we can get dynamic music in the map, and I know I'm asking for a lot here, but it'd be really cool to have like a new Kevin Sherwood track that evolves with each stop. Meaning like you hear one part of the track at this stop and you hear the next section of the track at the next stop, and between all 5 stops, we get to hear the fully fleshed out song. Maybe that's stupid, I don't know. But the one thing that you cannot get rid of is you cannot get rid of Ted, the bus driver. We want him there. We want his quips to be re-recorded with modern voiceover. Ted absolutely cannot go anywhere. He's the best part of the map, so you can't get rid of him. So with all that being said, TranZit really failed hard as a zombie map for most people. The loud few that argue that TranZit is the best map that's ever been made are literally just there to troll the rest of us. It's a bad map and everyone agrees. But it has so much potential, and so I'm really hoping that if the leaks are true and the TranZit remake is coming out with Black Ops 7, that we'll be able to see a new and improved version of this map utilizing modern consoles and modern technology. BO7 has the tech to deliver the, quote, road trip zombies concept that fans were wanting in 2012. And I know I feel like I'm asking for a lot here, but the truth is, if Treyarch nails even half of these fixes that I've mentioned in this video, I am going to be a very happy fan. With that being said, hope you all enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to drop a like, subscribe if you haven't already, and I hope you have a nice rest of your day. Take care.